Oh, hmm. Okay, there we go. All right. Walls. So apparently yesterday, first of all, I streamed on the wrong day, and then apparently I streamed 20 minutes of nothing because I did not add myself to the stage. That is my level of intelligence right now. So good job, me. Um, Also, I'm in the middle of moving, so some brain farts. I feel like I'm entitled to a couple. But yeah, this is my last couple of days in Texas, and we're getting this live stream out of the way a little early because I got a bunch of stuff to do. But so that leads us into what were we watching this week, was which was not as much as normal because packing up one's life and getting it out the door is a little bit of a slog. But we did in the movie world, we did get some announcements this week. We got the Oscar nominations, which I know last week we talked about. I would say the pitfalls of the Oscar show itself. Um, I'm not going to say that I don't like the idea of the Oscars just as a concept, and that I think is because everybody likes we like competition. That's why obviously why sports are so big. And if you like movies, you want your own Super Bowl. And for a long time, the Oscars was my Super Bowl. Like that's what, once a year you'd get the pizza and have the party. And then it was always an insufferable show to a certain degree, but at some point it crossed over to being unwatchable for me personally, and I put it down for a long time, not to pick it up again till last year. But I mean, regardless, I always follow the nominations. What happened in film this year? That's the one thing that I do think the Oscars just as a concept do bring to fans of movies is what cool things happened in film this year, and that I do really quite appreciate at the end of the day. So we had sort of big news this year in that Sinners is um, the most nominated film of all time, 16 nominations. And I'm just going to real quick run these down. Best actor, best supporting actor, best supporting actress, best casting, cinematography, costume design, best director, editing, makeup and hair, score, original song, picture, production design, sound effects, visual effects, and original screenplay. I went into in my failed stream yesterday. I went into more detail on it, but I think I don't know that this particular question that I'm asking of does it deserve all of these? I don't think I need to go super into detail of it. I can just sort of jump to yes, for the most part, I think it deserves each of these categories. I would say it deserves having a spot there. There's only a couple question categories for me, and one of them is not the film's fault at all. And I quite liked it. It's I'm a horror fan, and it's a really great, really well, beautifully constructed horror film. But the two categories that sort of I'm like, ugh, and we'll go with casting for the first one. And again, this is not because of the movie itself. This is because if you're gonna add a category to the Oscars, casting is an odd one for me. I mean, obviously, casting is really important. It takes talent to sort of see which actors are going to have the chemistry and really jive together on screen. I do appreciate that, but I don't know, it just doesn't it for the mainline Oscar show, it doesn't really play for me. If you're going to add a category to the Oscars, I think the obvious one to add on first would be stunts, because stunt guys, if you're a stunt guy, you're putting your physical well-being on the line for everybody's entertainment. And if you haven't seen the film The Fall Guy, which was a really fun film from a couple of years ago with Ryan Gosling, that movie did a really quite a good job of highlighting um, all the things that stunt guys do and how much better films are when they use stunt people rather than computers. So that's the category that I would have added personally. I You can make an argument for casting, but for me, stunts is where it should go. In terms of the actual film itself, the other one that I have a little bit of a question about is best original screenplay. Because while I did like the film, I do think Sinners is quite derivative of From Dusk Till Dawn, and I feel like From Dusk Till Dawn was a better paced film. Sinners, I think, stretches itself just maybe a little too long. And From Dusk Till Dawn also handled the genre switch from crime drama to vampire film much smoothly. It's crazy how well From Dusk Till Dawn works, and a lot of that for that film goes down to George Clooney's charisma, and he has this great monologue when that switch happens, and it really guides that film from one to the other in a seamless fashion. And I don't know that Sinners had that. I don't know that Sinners had that, and it overstayed its welcome for me a little bit. That being said, I do really like the cultural focus on music in the South. I'm a big music fan, and anything that films that focus themselves around music really tend to work for me. And also, the visual effects were really quite cool. And the other thing that I really love about the film that I've never seen done quite as well in any other vampire film is including the you have to invite the vampires in part of the lore. Those elements were really quite well done. Best pick. So I looking down the list of best picture nominees, and I'm not going to go through all of them today. I do want to do a stream where I go through each category and do a quick rundown of my own thoughts on it. But just on this picture specifically, uh, do I think it is a best picture caliber film, as in winning? Like, do I see it as, oh, this is a best picture? Not particularly, but also 2025 was a little bit of a weak year film wise. And if you're looking at the sort of best picture as a microcosm of all of the things that came out, all of the best that came out of that year, definitely Sinners is on that list, and it's I had a good time, so I do. It definitely deserves to be on the list. And if I was gonna knock off a couple of categories, it would be screenplay and it would be casting. And again, casting has nothing really to do with the film specifically at all. It's just I have questions about adding that category to begin with. But I'm looking forward to watching it again once my move is done. I want to add it onto my DVD shelf. It's for sure going to land there, and I'm the next month is going to be a lot of Oscar homework, and I will rewatch this movie. I will excitedly rewatch this movie before March, which is I believe when the actual show is, whether I'm watching it or not. But anywho, moving on. So the movie that I watched this week is The Rip on Netflix. So the boys from Boston, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, have a new crime drama on Netflix, and I would say it's a solid 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's a good Friday night movie that you will watch once, enjoy it, have a drink or two, and then you'll never watch it again. It's not that's sort of the level that it's at. So here's the good, and I'm gonna keep it spoiler free because there are part of what makes it work and keeps it tense is the way that it plays with audiences' perceptions of characters. It does that really quite well. It does a very good job of misdirecting the audience in regards to who the actual corrupt cops are, like who is the actual bad guy, and it sort of leads you down one way and then takes you down others, and it that's really where the tension comes from, is the who do you trust uh aspect of the film. And the plot wise is Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are two cops that are part of this sort of anti-drug. They deal with stashes of drug money, and clearly within the department, people believe they have too much power. Are they stealing money? Like there's we think people are grifting, and who are the grifters? Who are the bad cops? And when they come up to this really giant mega stash, we've got this big deal, and we don't know. We feel like we're being set up, and it keeps it's nicely, it feels mid budget. It's very tense. It's mostly takes place in one house, and it does a really good job of managing mostly one location and keeping you interested. It's a little bit slow at the start of it, but once the film actually gets to the main thrust of it, of we've found all this money, then it gets really quite tense, and that's when the questions start coming fast and furious about about who here is trustworthy, and who has motivations to actually be stealing money from it. And Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are quite good as always. Back in the day, I was not as much a fan of Ben Affleck, and I think he really, when he was younger, he made I think some questionable choices in regards to the movies that he actually was in. And I think he's grown. He's grown. He's started picking better films. He really has proven himself as a director. And now I can objectively, I look forward to when he's in a film. I look forward to seeing it. And it was fun. It was a fun film. I don't know that I'd watch it more than once, but I had a good time. Where some things I did have take issue with, the film does have way too many f-bombs. Now, swearing, it does not particularly bother me on the whole, but when we're swearing every fucking other fucking word, then it just gets ridiculous, and it's distracting. And it's almost like Carnahan thinks that's how that every other word that comes out of a cop or a sort of military man's mouth is fuck. And I've never heard any of those guys, like, they swear, but they don't. Again, it's not fucking every other fucking word. Like, so that I found that really aggressively distracting. Not offended. It was just annoying, and it was ripping me out of the actual narrative. So I could have done without that. And I would also say that the final action set piece, I felt the way that it was filmed, the cinematography and the editing was a little bit manic and hard to follow. So the final action set piece left a little to be desired for me. But other than that, it's very entertaining. Again, I would say 3 out of 5. I no more than that. I was sort of debating: is this a film that gets? Does this film get 2.5 or 3? And ultimately, I have enough goodwill for the filmmakers and enjoyed the film enough that I'd go 3. It's a solid 3 out of 5. I will a lot's been made of how streaming films look visually from a cinematography perspective, sort of like this too clean, overlit type of thing. I would, and that's true, but I would also comment on. I feel like streaming, the graphics need to be punched up as well, because the film starts and you've got Netflix Presents, and I found the graphic to be really, really tacky and cheap looking. And when you have a tacky, cheap graphic, that sort of sets you up for a tacky, cheap movie. So that's the one thing to keep an eye on. I think for other streaming films is really sort of put your graphics guys through the paces and try to elevate it past something that just feels streaming, because that opening graphic really just, I would say, felt streaming to me personally. Anywho, the rest of it's again. I'm knee deep into a move right now, so a lot of what I watched is half an hour comedy and really just finishing off Scrubs. I was on season 9, and I've got several friends who were OG fans. Like when I was young, I caught episodes here and there and liked it, but I was not following the show on a religious basis week to week. I didn't really do that till last year. So I was prepared. They had all told me, see, don't season 9. I was told really basically skip season 9, but being OCD the way I am, if I start a show and I get that far, I'm going to watch all of it. So I watch season 9, and yeah, it's kind of lame. The characters are not as fun or charming. What they really are is just weak replacements for the characters that we love. Lucy is basically a dupe of JD, but with a little less personality. Drew and Joe are sort of like Dr. Cox and Jordan, but a little less personality. I would say I liked Dave Franco a bit. But I think that's just because it's not because of the character or the work on the show. It's that he's a good actor, and I've seen him be quite good in other things. But if you're not OCD, you could just skip it. And what sort of makes it more eye roll territory than sort of pissed off territory is that the original cast got a proper finale. Like season 8, like you could absolutely stop watching at season 8. All of the threads are very effectively wrapped up, and we say goodbye to those characters that we love. And season 9, and then my understanding is what it is. If you must go watch it, you can treat it like a spinoff that didn't work. It's like a Joey. If you remember that, or does anyone remember Joey, the failed Joey spinoff of Friends? You could treat it like that. Or if you're not so if you're not so like finicky about finishing a show, then you could just ignore it and stop at season 8. What I will be interested in seeing is whether or not the revival in a few weeks acknowledges it at all, because it could easily just be straight up ignored and you pretend it didn't happen, or you could acknowledge it in some clever, interesting, cheeky way. So that'll be interesting to see. And again, I hope the revival is good. We could use nice, clever, just sort of goofy comedy right now. So I'm really rooting for it. And in so now that I'm done with that, I started Community, which I have not watched before, and I've had plenty of people I trust say that I would like it. We'll see. 2 episodes in, and I'm not really sold yet. Joel McHale's character is a little bit of an unappealing douche, and I'm not really connecting with him. But I'm gonna at least stick this through for 1 season. If I'm not sold by the end of season 1, I think that'll be it. I want to say Ovid is the character I think people associate for me with that. You'll connect with this guy who's always got the 80s, your 80s pop culture references being thrown around all over the place. So we'll see. That's we'll see how that fills the after work comedy void going forward. And I'm going to wrap today up with this week's Trek Tuesday. I'm trying to watch two episodes of Trek a week, Star Trek. Again, I started last week with a couple episodes of the original series. We're going in air date order, which means I'm on the third one, which means Where No Man Has Gone Before. That is the original pilot. Not the original pilot. Scratch that, reverse it. The second pilot. It's the second pilot they filmed for the original series, and you can tell that it is a pilot because visually there's a couple things that are just a little different visually. They hadn't introduced the red into the Trek uniforms. It's just yellow, and it's yellow and blue, and they've got these weird sort of sweater circle things. So they sort of, I think, made a smart, mild redesign for the show proper with adding in the red and then adding in sort of the black under t-shirt. I think looks a little better. And then Spock has a sort of slightly more manic energy to him in the pilot. But one thing I think it proves is that Shatner is the hero, really the hero of the show proper. It's been a long time since I watched the original pilot, The Cage, with Captain Pike, but Shatner just has so much more charm and charisma that Pike didn't have. And Star Trek is it's very much an intellectual show. So I think some of that intellectual material really needs to be. You need to have some charm. The vector of that sort of so highbrow science fiction really kind of needs to be charming, and you really need to connect with them. And what Shatner really does right off the bat is he just balances that warm and inviting, friendly nature with commanding nature when stuff actually goes down. And this is a really solid episode that really, a pilot that gets the premise that this is a show about exploration where we're presenting serious questions and moral dilemmas. And this one, it's the one where his college buddy Mitchell, they go through some sort of energy waves, and he starts developing these godlike powers, and as his powers grow, he gets less connected with human people. And it's very clear that he will, because he starts seeing human beings as ants, that he is going to squash the ship at some point. And there's that question of there is no good way out of it for Kirk. It's that question of, I am going to lose my college friend. He is already gone, and I have no other. There's no good option. And what is the least sucky option? And you're presented with Kirk, the emotional guy, and Spock, who has to put it to him of like, you are not going to have a choice. There is no third way out. These are your options. Which one are you going to go with? So that's a lot of what the show is. And I'll say on an effects level, what's really I find quite cool and sort of an iconic image is however they did sort of the diamond dyes on Mitchell. Looks really cool, really, really cool. And this is a show without a budget. It's before the era of CGI. And you've got this really, really just unnerving sort of just eyes, but not eyes that you're looking into. And it's a really, really quite solid performance. And again, a good antagonist. So it definitely you can see why it's a pilot that was greenlit. And also it's just like one little bit I do kind of love about this particular episode is that at some point Mitchell zaps open a gravestone for Kirk, and his and middle initial is not T yet. In the pilot, it's James R. Kirk. So that obvious was one of those little fun details of like, oh, they hadn't gotten that yet, but yeah, it's still it's a strong episode, and as a pilot, strong start and strong first 3 opener episodes. So I think I am going to wrap it up today. I will see you next week. Ideally on my actual desktop and not yeah, just ideally on a desktop and with a better computer and an actual microphone in actual office space. So until then, everybody stay warm out there, and I will see you next time.